Namaskar and welcome. And leaders across the world have wished Prime Minister Narendra Modi and India on behalf of their respective countries India's Independence Day. The Azadi ka Amrit Mahotsav was celebrated with enthusiasm and fervor, the 75th Independence Day, by friends of India in the global community. Now, we'll bring you a collection of all those celebrations and greetings, but let's go first across to the Atari Wagah border, where the beating retreat ceremony is going on.
आप सभी दर्शकों से निवेदन है कि अगर राष्ट्रीय ध्वज उतारते समय ध्वज के सम्मान में अपने अपने स्थान पर खड़े हो जाए। साथ ही इस दौरान शांति बनाए रखें तथा किसी भी नारे आदि अपने को ना करें। वे दर्शक जो मंदिर में हैं उनसे निवेदन है कि वे राष्ट्रीय ध्वज को शुरू दें। अब आप मेरे साथ एक बार हिंदुस्तान जिंदाबाद का नारा लगाएंगे। नीचे आएगा झंडा उतारने की आप सभी से विनम्र निवेदन है कि मैं अपने प्रस्ताव करते हैं।
So we were witnessing the beating retreat ceremony at the Wagah border, and now let's continue with this program where we are bringing you celebrations of the Independence Day from different parts of the world. So India celebrates Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, marking the 75th year of independence, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi led the nation in celebrating the historic 75th Independence Day from the ramparts of the Red Fort in New Delhi. Early in the morning, in fact, the Prime Minister visited Rajghat and he paid tributes to the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi. Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi hoisted the national flag and delivered the customary address at the Red Fort. And it may be recalled that Prime Minister had launched the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav from Sabarmati Ashram in Ahmedabad in Gujarat. He did so in March of 2021, and that is celebrating 75 years of India's independence. Now, the celebrations will continue till the 15th of August 2023. And Independence Day is being celebrated across the globe. The Indian ambassador in China, Vikram Misri, hoisted the tricolour during India's 75th Independence Day celebrations at the Indian Embassy in Beijing. A large number of Indian diaspora based in Beijing, they attended the colourful function organised by the embassy. The embassy has organised a number of events to mark the occasion, including the depiction of national heroes by children of the Indian diaspora, a painting exhibition and a webinar on India's achievements in its journey during the last 75 years in various fields. On the occasion of Amrit Mahotsav, Ambassador Misri also inaugurated a special photo exhibition with the theme India Through Chinese Eyes, a marvelous set of 37 paintings by Chinese artists and calligraphers displaying the views of India using Chinese art. And we're joined by our correspondent Anshuman Mishra, special correspondent joining us from Beijing. Anshuman, so the celebrations in the embassy were where we talked about that, but tell us a little bit about the Indian community in China and how it is looking at this day.
Mark, obviously as India celebrates its 75th Independence Day, the Indian community in Beijing and in all other cities across China, they are full of pride, and they feel very happy about the progress of their country in the last 75 years. Mm-hmm. And as we saw it today, they turned up in large numbers at the Indian embassy premises in Beijing. And those who could not attend it due to the COVID restrictions posed for the entry to the capital Beijing, they joined it online. And later on, they also joined in a webinar, which was based on, focusing on India's growth in the last 25 years and the challenges lying ahead, and how to move in a post-COVID normalcy era. And if I talk about today's program, it was a colorful and joyous occasion for all the Indian diaspora people, especially the kids, when they represented 75 freedom fighter heroes and the heroes of modern India, when they dressed in a particular attire to represent them. And it was a matter of joy for them, for their parents, and whosoever was present there, including the Chinese people. It was such a lovely occasion. And the Indian diaspora, wherever it is marked, be it China, be it Bangladesh, USA, anywhere, so whenever they look at the progress of their country, it's a glorious saga of Indian nation, of its growth in the last 75 years.
True.
But it's the largest democracy, still moving at a fast pace despite all the odds, Mark.
Indeed, and the diaspora to a large extent are also ambassadors of India. That's what Prime Minister had once said of them. And we know that, they go there to work, they go and many of them are in niche areas, some are there for business, some are students. So give us an idea of the kind of diaspora in China and basically what, how well they are doing.
Mark, Indian diaspora in China is comparatively, if I say with many other countries, it's a little less despite we are ancient neighbors due to various regions that I would not go into details at the moment. But there is a variety of fields in which they are working. For example, in trade and commerce, a lot of Indians are involved, especially the trade from trade point of view. If I say it's doing very well despite all the COVID distractions and all the issues arising out of COVID. So in past 6 months, the bilateral trade between India and China stood somewhere around $58 billion. So that shows that there are a lot of complementarities between both the countries, and people of both the countries are taking full advantage of that. And of course, we need to build upon this relation, success of this commercial relation based on commerce and trade in other fields as well. Apart from trade and commerce, people are working in companies which are basically salaried class. And there are quite a few number of people who have established their own companies in China, and from here they manufacture the products and they sell it across the globe. But most of the majority is involved in trade, Mark.
Indeed. And the Chinese themselves, there's a lot of interest in Indian culture, and that dates back, it's a historical connection. And we see that many of them take interest in Indian movies, in dance, in music. So tell us a little bit about, that kind of interest in yoga, all these sort of things.
Yes, Mark, that's true. So the India soft power, it's always appealing to the Chinese common man, Chinese citizen, and they are very much interested in Indian films, the yoga, Indian songs, Indian classical dance, and it was very much visible at the International Day of Yoga or other such events, the cultural events where we can see a lot of cultural performances by Chinese people, Chinese artists. And at the same time, you talked about the historical culture ties. So, of course, if we talk about these, so Rabindranath Tagore, Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore, he visited China in 1924. And even before that, I'm talking about the recent times, less than 100 years. So, these connections are very well remembered by Chinese people, Chinese scholars, and they will always refer to this kind of relation. So at the moment, if I talk about the Indian diaspora and the relation between both the countries based on the people-to-people exchange. So of course, there are certain things, but of course, a lot more needs to be done. And regarding today's Independence Day celebrations in China, Mark, yes. So Indian diaspora who are present in Beijing, they are all flocked to the Indian embassy premises. They very enthusiastically they participated in singing of Rashtragan, yes. Which is part of Azadi ka Amrit Mahotsav as part right. of the 75th Independence Day celebration. It will go on till next year. Apart from that, they also participated in Amrit Mahotsav quiz. And there were a lot of other activities also which were being conducted by the Indian Embassy in the run-up to this Amrit Mahotsav, like Poem for India competition, where we saw a lot of creativity and imagination by yes. diaspora, and that too in many languages, English, Hindi, and regional languages as well, and not only from others. Kids also contributed in their own ways in reciting the poems for India. So that was a very emotional moment when you listen to the poems which will tell you about the freedom struggle of India, about the glorious path India took in last 75 years. And of course, when Ambassador Vikram Misri today read the President of India's address to the nation, which talked about India's success at the Tokyo Olympics,
yes,
which talk about India's success in space exploration, the Gaganyaan mission, which talked about India's vaccine production. We all know that the world refers India as pharmacy of the world.
Yes.
And the kind of success we have seen during these pandemic times, how well India managed the pandemic at home, despite all other kinds of issues. So all these things are definitely a matter of pride for Indian diaspora outside yes. India. And okay. when they see the value of Indian passport going up, the stature of India going up across the globe. So definitely yes. it's a matter of pride for them, Mark.
Indeed. One last question, Anshuman, about the, you talked about language, and there is a great interest amongst the Chinese also for Indian languages as well as Hindi, and the departments in Beijing University are quite well attended by the Chinese as far as Hindi is concerned, and also Indians studying Mandarin in China. So so that is something that perhaps is not really talked about very much, but that's through how we can understand each other's culture a lot better.
That's very true, Mark. Despite being ancient neighbors and oldest civilization, both India and China, if you talk about scholars, diplomats, anywhere, we all agree that there is a lack of understanding between the peoples of both the countries. And despite, we know that there were historical connections also, visits also, but despite all these, at present time, there is lack of understanding, and that has been acknowledged by think tanks, by officials of both the countries on various occasions and platforms.
Okay.
So the best way to enhance the people-to-people exchanges between both the countries is to to exchange the flow of people. Of course, it is getting disturbed due to China's rigorous border restrictions, the COVID restrictions, which has stopped many Indian families, and thousands of Indian students are being stuck in India and not able to come back to China. That's another matter. But we need to maintain the flow of people, and for that, the knowledge of the culture and language of each other's country is very much important. And in China, the Hindi is becoming quite popular, and moreover, it's becoming more popular because of Indian movies. Like you said,
Anshuman, I'll have to stop you there because we're getting some breaking news in, and I'd like to give this breaking news out and then talk about it with our correspondents. Thanks very much, Anshuman Mishra, for being with us. So the breaking news is this, that the President of Afghanistan, Ashraf Ghani, has resigned, and he has left Kabul, and we shall be getting you more information about this. President Ashraf Ghani had resigned. He's resigned and he's left Kabul. Amrit Pal Singh is joining us with more inputs about this story. Amrit, are you with us?
Can you hear me? I am.
Yes. Amrit, so put this into context. Yesterday, there was it seemed like, the Afghanistan president was speaking from a position of some sort of authority, because he didn't resign yesterday when he was expected to, when he addressed the nation. But some quick developments since then. Fill us in with the details.
Mark, it's not been officially confirmed as of now that President Ghani has resigned, but what news reports emanating out of Afghanistan say that President Ashraf Ghani has left Afghanistan along with the first Vice President Amrullah Saleh, also his National Security Advisor, have also left, possibly for Tajikistan. It's also said that many of the presidential aides were seen leaving for the Hamid Karzai International Airport in Kabul, where they were trying to take a plane out of Afghanistan. To what all locations is not known. It's expected that some of them might go to London, some of them might arrive in India. But it's clear that President Ghani, that's what reports emanating out of Afghanistan are saying, that President Ghani has now left Kabul. We had also heard reports that Mullah Baradar, the Taliban number 2, was at the presidential palace in Kabul trying to negotiate a transition government for Afghanistan. Taliban had reached the gates of Kabul this morning, but they had said, they had put out a statement saying that they do not wish to take over Kabul by force or by war, and that they wish to do so through a political negotiation where an installation of a government, a transition government, happens. It's not very clear what, at the moment, what understanding or negotiation has been arrived at, though the names of Ali Ahmed Jalali to be heading the interim government, along with Mullah Baradar as the president of Afghanistan, or as the interim president of Afghanistan, were coming out of reports that were coming out of Kabul. But the latest now being that President Ashraf Ghani, we don't know whether, as of now, whether to call him former president of Afghanistan, but so we'll call him the president of Afghanistan for the moment, has left Kabul for an undisclosed location, possibly Tajikistan. Mark.
Right, Amrit, so what was happening was that most countries of the world were trying to get their personnel out of Kabul before this happened, and one wonders whether that has been achieved. And also India has been moving its personnel out from the other parts, but not so much from Kabul. So what is the current situation?
There is a plane said to have left in Air India, plane said to have left Kabul. The Indian Foreign Ministry, or the Ministry of External Affairs, hasn't officially spoken about what they want to do with the mission. Are they shutting down the mission temporarily? Russians, for example, have made a categorical statement that they're staying. The Americans, their troops, about 5,000 additional troops, as President Biden yesterday said, arrived in Kabul to take out the diplomats, the core team of diplomats and its other personnel, and also the Friends of America, their allies, the Afghans who help them run their missions and in their military operations. They're trying to evacuate them. This morning one saw US Marine helicopters hovering over US mission in Kabul, possibly to evacuate the Americans out of there. But there's no imminent danger as of now, because the Taliban have made it clear that they shall not be attacking diplomatic missions.
Okay.
That they will not be allowing, they will not be attacking diplomats. They'll be allowing free passage to everybody who wishes to go out of the country, and also that the diplomatic community, they say, is safe. So in that sense, there is no imminent danger to the lives of diplomats. But of course, the changing situation with if the Taliban takes over in a few hours would be unsettling for many countries, and they will have to chart out their future course of action depending upon what their official stance is. Do they
Yes.
wish to recognize the Taliban government in Afghanistan or not? Would it be a Taliban government? All that will depend upon what sort of government is formed. Would it be a negotiated political settlement, which
Yes.
most countries say is acceptable to them? But if it is a complete completely Taliban government, then it would be a difficult task. What we are hearing right now is that some former ministers and former close aides of President Ghani have switched sides, and
Okay.
they are talking to the Taliban, and they could be a part of the new administration. So I think the response of the diplomatic community would depend upon what sort of a power sharing deal is struck in Kabul. Mark.
Indeed. Amrit, Afghanistan used to have a system which had the Loya Jirga, and all these tribal leaders got together and they sort of said that this man will be our leader. Is that going to be the system that's going to be adopted, or because the democracy situation has obviously not worked in case a group has taken over by force, and the international community said that they are not going to recognize this thing by force. But yesterday, just to fill us in a little bit of the background, the United Nations had said that their fighting in Kabul would be catastrophic. It seems that they decided not to fight. They have a peaceful settlement. Even the Taliban has talked about a peaceful a peaceful transition of power. So something seems to have worked out. The question is, what is that government going to be? You talked about lots of possibilities.
I think it's a brilliant move by the Taliban, at least tactically, if not strategically, to not take over Kabul by force. But it's forcing the hands of President Ghani and his administration. They surrounded Kabul from all sides when they took over Jalalabad this morning. They cut off the access to the east when they took over, when Kandahar fell, when Mazar-e-Sharif fell, when Herat fell, one of the biggest cities apart from Kabul. It was clear that Taliban control a sizable part of Afghanistan. So it is, ruled by, they became the de facto commanders of Afghanistan.
Right.
Now, at many places, for example, at Jalalabad, not a shot was fired. The same situation is, reports emanating out of Kabul say the same about Kabul, that not a shot has been fired in Kabul. So it is clearly a takeover by, it's a de jure takeover,
Yeah.
but of course by force, if not by force, by the threat of force.
Okay.
So the world will now have to see what would their response be. Would they accept Taliban as the new rulers of Afghanistan, or what sort of, because as I said, it was a tactically brilliant move by the Taliban to stop at the gates of Kabul and say, we want to go in for a negotiated political settlement. But
Right.
that political settlement is, everyone knows, by the threat of force. When you have everything and then you negotiate,
Yes.
negotiate from a point of strength. It was done essentially to gain international recognition. Now, how much of that cuts ice And unlike when the Taliban along with Al-Qaeda took over the last time, when they came into power, the sort of brutality one saw, very few incidents of that have happened. I think the Taliban has understood that show of brutality, no matter what sort of regime they run, when they come into power, doesn't augur well for them. So I think they've learned their lessons from the past, in terms at least of the optics, and would this time around be different. Their approach would be different from the last time. The last time they didn't care to hoots for the world giving them recognition. This time they're
worried about recognition.
They're looking for international acceptability, Mark.
Right. There's another concern that from a conflict zone there are refugees, and they've in the conflicts that took place after the Arab Spring, or even in the clearing of ISIS, there were a lot of refugees who moved into Europe and many into Americas. But there seems to be a deal that may have been struck beforehand that the sort of refugee crisis is not going to be as serious as it was in the past. I mean, so this would be a concern, isn't it? Because other countries, like India for one, may have a large number of people coming in.
Yes, I think the refugee crisis or the humanitarian crisis is going to be the logical fallout of what has transpired in Afghanistan. In fact, it already is, according to some reports, it's a human catastrophe unfolding in Afghanistan, or a humanitarian catastrophe unfolding in Afghanistan. Pakistan has closed the Chaman cross point after Taliban took over the border cross point. There are refugees flowing into Iran, especially the Hazara community, which is the Shia community. The Tajiks, the Uzbeks are at the borders. I'm talking about the Afghan Tajiks and Uzbeks, ones of Tajik and Uzbek descent, but who are Afghanis. They would be looking to move up north into Tajikistan or Uzbekistan. India, one could expect a lot of refugees. In fact, the scene at the Hamid Karzai International Airport is that a lot of people want to get out. Whoever can wants to get out of Afghanistan. I was looking at a report yesterday that there are second-hand markets come up all in small towns of Afghanistan, where people are selling their household items because they wish to relocate. A lot of camps have come up in the parks and squares of Kabul because a lot of refugees from the interiors of Afghanistan had moved. So there is a lot of internal displacement. I'm sure there will be displacement happening to Europe, to Turkey, to India, to Tajikistan, to Uzbekistan, possibly to Pakistan also. The Pashtuns would want to go to Pakistan because across the Durand line they share ethnicity with them. There are a lot of Pashtuns in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa area of Pakistan. So there would be a lot of displacement that would follow in the coming days, just that the media, because it doesn't have much access to the interiors, especially international media right now, the reportage is slightly less, but I think a humanitarian crisis is unfolding in Afghanistan even as we speak.
Right, Amrit, we'll come back to you for more on this story in our subsequent programs, but in this program we are looking at India's celebrations of Independence Day across the world. And so let's continue moving on then to our next story, which is the Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison posted a recorded video message to wish India on its Independence Day, and starting off by saying Namaste, in fact, and also posting subtitles of the video in Hindi. Let's listen.
Namaste and happy Independence Day to all of our great friends in India, and g'day to all Australians of Indian descent. So many thousands of you who have built wonderful lives here in Australia, from our regional centres to the suburbs of our great cities, right across the country. And in the process, you've given so much to Australia. Language, history, faith, culture, music, performing arts, food, and of course, a wonderful friendship. The ties that bind our nations, they're strong, they're vibrant, and they're indeed enduring. Above all, shared values of respect, responsibility, the rule of law. These are the foundations of our great friendship, our dosti, something I share, of course, with your Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, who's a great partner in the important work that we're doing in the region and all around the world. We are proud democracies. We are free peoples. We're upholding dignity of our people because this lies at the heart of who we are. Our relationship, our comprehensive strategic partnership, is an Indo-Pacific partnership, working for openness and freedom and prosperity, advancing the common good of our Indo-Pacific region. We've seen it in this pandemic, with India sharing COVID-19 vaccinations right across the Indo-Pacific, despite the challenges that India is facing at home. A project Australia joins with the same sense of urgency and responsibility for our region. In the sadness of the pandemic, we have stood firmly with each other. And I know the Indian community here in Australia has felt the intense pain of separation. I really appreciate the sacrifices that you have made to keep Australia safe. But we know better times are ahead. We can look forward with hope. And the key to that is getting vaccinated. We are making great progress with our vaccination program as it continues to increase in supply and points of presence, and I encourage you to go, you and your family, and get vaccinated wherever you are in the country. This year, and especially in our capital cities, celebrations of independence will of course be subdued, particularly those cities and areas that are affected by lockdown. Please don't gather together in household groups or in anything like that if you're in a city that is affected by the lockdowns, particularly in Sydney. Please observe those rules. There will be a time where you can come together at a much safer point in time where we can celebrate these important milestones. But we will come together on that day in spirit, and we will reaffirm our friendship and honour the values that we share. I am looking forward to our 2022 celebrations, India's 75th anniversary of independence, a great achievement, a time when we can hopefully join once again together in celebration. So on behalf of all Australians, happy Independence Day, India.
Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi thanked Prime Minister Scott Morrison of Australia, and the Prime Minister said, "Thank you for your kind greetings, my friend Scott Morrison, MP. India too cherishes its increasingly vibrant partnership with Australia based on shared values and robust people-to-people links." And the Prime Minister of Australia, Scott Morrison, in his greetings had said that India and Australia cherish a close partnership built on trust, respect and shared values. Happy Independence Day, as we heard him say there. Dosti, Diaspora, he also put hashtags. Now, the High Commission of India in Canberra organized a virtual screening of the flag hoisting ceremony of the 75th Independence Day of India, and the High Commissioner later addressed that gathering.
It's a very special day, as you all know. We complete 74 years of Indian independence today. It is the beginning of the 75th year of our journey as a free country, as independent India. We are from today launching the one-year-long celebrations of Indian Independence Day. We have already started with many celebrations over the last few weeks, but these will now continue and intensify over the coming 52 weeks or 12 months, culminating in the 75th anniversary of our country next 15th of August 2022.
Extending wishes on the occasion of India's Independence Day, the US President Joe Biden said that New Delhi and Washington must show the world that the two great and diverse democracies can deliver for people everywhere. In a statement, President Biden of the United States said, and I quote, "I wish all those celebrating today in India, in the United States and throughout the world a safe and happy Indian Independence Day. On August 15, 1947, India achieved its long journey towards independence guided by Mahatma Gandhi's message of truth and non-violence. Over decades, ties between our people, including a vibrant community of over 4 million Indian Americans, have strengthened our partnership. In this moment of great challenges and opportunities," President Biden said that the partnership between India and the United States is more important than ever. He said that this past year, our nations have come together in new ways as we tackle the COVID-19 pandemic, including working in partnership with Japan and Australia through the Quad to expand global manufacturing of safe and effective COVID-19 vaccines and to strengthen our last-mile coordination to reach people throughout the Indo-Pacific. Well, the Consulate General of India in New York's Rhode Island lit up the state capitol building in Providence to mark the 75th Independence Day. The Indian community in New York, the consul there, they celebrated the Independence Day with much fervor and enthusiasm by hosting a cultural program as well. The former chairperson and CEO of PepsiCo, Indira Nooyi, conveyed her best wishes for 75 years of India's independence. Let's listen to what she said.
I'm thrilled to celebrate India on its 75th anniversary of independence. You know, the country has so much to be proud of. India is the world's largest democracy and the 6th largest economy. And India is a force to be reckoned with, a rich melting point of mega diverse lands and languages, communities and cultures. Every day I only grow more optimistic of all that India and its people have yet to accomplish. I am honored to call this great nation my motherland. Congratulations on 75 years of freedom and independence to all my fellow Indians around the world.
Well, wishing India on its 75th Independence Day, the Russian President Vladimir Putin said, and I quote, "The success achieved by India in economic, social and other spheres is widely acknowledged. Your country rightfully enjoys high prestige in global arena and plays an important role in solving topical issues of international agenda. We appreciate the relations of the privileged strategic partnership between our countries. I am convinced that the further enhancement of the whole range of constructive Russian-India ties entirely meets the interests of our peoples and goes within the course of strengthening stability and security on regional and global level." Unquote. The Russian ambassador to India, Nikolai Kudashev, has congratulated all Indians on Independence Day today, and he said that India will be further heading towards new accomplishments and big goals.
Dear friends, I would like to wholeheartedly congratulate all Indians on the Independence Day. India, as one of the leading global powers, is rightfully proud of the outstanding economic and political achievements coming along with strengthened commitments to social, scientific and technological progress, which is carefully harmonized with the centuries-old traditions. We have no doubts that India will be further heading towards new accomplishments and big goals. We wish all Indian friends many happy returns and the best of health. Long live the Russian-Indian friendship. Jai Hind and Jai Rus.
The 75th Independence Day of India was celebrated in Bangladesh at the Indian High Commission in Dhaka and Assistant High Commissions at Khulna, Rajshahi, Sylhet and Chattogram. The program was attended by members of the Indian community, though the number was kept restricted because of the ongoing corona pandemic in that country and ongoing pandemic everywhere, in fact. At the Chancery complex in Dhaka, the flag hoisting ceremony was followed by the reading of the President's address by the High Commissioner of India, Vikram Doraiswamy. So patriotic songs were rendered by a group of artists from India and Bangladesh. The High Commissioner, Vikram Doraiswamy, met the members of the Indian community. He exchanged greetings on the day of India's independence. Rajesh Jha now joins us from Dhaka. Well, Rajesh, we understand that neighbors are important, especially on days like this. So you can fill us in with the kind of celebrations. Earlier we saw even at the Wagah border you know, the soldiers at the border shook hands. So it's something interesting.
Well, Mark, as you know, there is a sizable Indian community here in Bangladesh, and India shares a very important cultural, linguistic, and historic bond with Bangladesh. So this occasion was really very, very enthusiastically participated by the Indian community here at the Chancery building in Dhaka, and also in the 4 assistant high commissionaries in Khulna, Rajshahi, Sylhet, and Chattogram. However, you must remember that this day also happens to be the mourning day in Bangladesh, because on this day in 1975, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman was killed along with 18 members of his family, and only the current Prime Minister, who was the eldest daughter of Sheikh Mujib, was and one of her sisters could survive. Now, in this context, the celebrations in the Indian High Commission are kept appropriately limited to the Indian High Commission and other places, so that it is in line with the dignity or the demand of the occasion, in keeping with the sensibility of Bangladesh. However, large number of people came over to the High Commission. Kids were there, young people were there, women were there, and they were, of course, keeping the social distancing and wearing of the mask. Some of them, I must say, were having a kind of nostalgic feeling, because many of them wanted to go back to India. They have not been able to go back to India for a long time because of the ongoing COVID crisis in the country and the closure of the air flights and also the land borders. So many of them were, in fact, feeling that the occasion could have been very, very enjoyable, far enjoyable, if they had been able to travel to India. However, even while they were in Bangladesh, you can understand that Bangladesh, having won its independence at a very big cost with a great support from India, understands the value of freedom and independence and liberty. So there was a lot of participation from the community, Indian community, of course, and some of the prominent people also came over to the High Commission and also to the Assistant High Commissionerates in different parts of the country. So overall, this is an occasion which gave people a lot of festive mood, and people did celebrate despite the corona crisis being very difficult here in Bangladesh. So overall, it was a happy occasion here in Bangladesh, Lynn.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jha, for joining us with those inputs, and important that you know, respecting the sentiments also of the people of Bangladesh, because it is a day on which the father of their nation was assassinated. Moving on then to our next story. The 75th Independence Day of India was celebrated in different parts of Sri Lanka in strict compliance with the COVID-19 protocols. The celebrations this year are part of the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav initiative launched by Prime Minister Narendra Modi in March 2021 to commemorate 75 years of a progressive and self-reliant India. The main event was held at India House, the official residence of the High Commissioner of India. High Commissioner hoisted the national flag and inspected the Guard of Honor, and he also read excerpts of the President of India's message on the occasion. The event was telecast live and was attended virtually by friends of India in Sri Lanka and members of the Indian Diaspora in Sri Lanka. A special prayer, Ashirvad Puja, was held at Param Dhamma Chaitya Pirivena for the well-being of the people of India and Sri Lanka. On the occasion, the Indian monks in the Pirivena, they especially celebrated Independence Day with fervor. Several other cultural events were organized online to commemorate the occasion, and these included performances by the Colombo Expatriates Cultural Association and Indian Diaspora Grouping, and Pavala Natya Mala, which is a collection of dance performances organized by Swami Vivekananda Cultural Center in collaboration with the Arushri Art Theatre and other groupings. So a unique program, Diamond Bridge, also by the Global Association of Sri Lankan Bharata Natyam artists, was also webcast. The event comprised presentation of various Indian dance forms, also violin renditions by renowned exponents. The Sri Lankan Prime Minister, Mahinda Rajapaksa, also wished Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the people of India on behalf of the people of Sri Lanka. He said, "May the strength of the bond shared between both our nations grow each day." Prime Minister Modi tweeted that, "I thank Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa for his warm greetings. India and Sri Lanka share millennia-old cultural, spiritual and civilizational links which provide the foundation for our special friendship." Meanwhile, the Indian embassy in Bhutan and the capital Thimphu was lit up in the national tricolour. Well, Bhutan's Prime Minister Lothe Tshering has conveyed greetings to India on the occasion of the 75th Independence Day. In a tweet, Tshering said, and I quote, "I take this occasion to convey our appreciation to the government and people of India, particularly the Embassy of India, the India team here, for the support during these difficult times. I offer my warmest wishes on this special occasion. Happy Independence Day." And Prime Minister Narendra Modi thanked the Prime Minister of Bhutan. He said, and I quote, "Thank you for your warm Independence Day greetings, Lothe Tshering, Prime Minister of Bhutan. All Indians value the unique and trusted ties of friendship we share with Bhutan." And while offering his warmest greetings, the Bhutanese Prime Minister had appreciated India's support, as we said, during these difficult times. The High Commission of India in Victoria in Seychelles was lit up on the occasion, the national tricolour of India, and we are celebrating India's Independence Day. Well, wishes poured in from across the globe, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi thanked the leadership of Mauritius for their warm greetings. Prime Minister Jagannath had said, "Let us all celebrate on this auspicious occasion the ideals of peace and harmony, the core values of independent India. Jai Hind," is what he finished his quote with. And Prime Minister Modi tweeted, and I quote, "Thank you, Prime Minister Pravind Jagannath. Due to the centuries-old people-to-people links between India and Mauritius, both our countries share the same core values and traditions. This provides the foundation for our very special friendship." Thanking Nepal, Prime Minister Modi tweeted, "I thank Prime Minister Shri Sher Bahadur Duba for his greetings and good wishes. The people of India and Nepal are united by our shared cultural, linguistic, religious and family linkages." Prime Minister Duba had sent his best wishes for the continued progress and prosperity of India. Prime Minister Modi also thanked the President of Maldives, Ibrahim Soleh, and he said, the Prime Minister thanked him, saying, "I thank President Soleh for his greetings. Maldives is our important maritime neighbor and our partner in advancing the shared vision of a safe, secure, inclusive and prosperous Indo-Pacific region." Soleh, in his greetings, had wished that this occasion would renew India's resolve to safeguard its proud republic and continue its great traditions of democracy and unity through diversity. In Maldives, the High Commissioner Sanjay Sudhir hoisted the national flag at the Indian High Commission in Male. And in Canberra, the city's landmarks were lit up in the tricolour to celebrate India's 75th Independence Day. In Dubai, the flag hoisting ceremony was done by the Consul General Dr. Aman Puri. On the occasion, a cultural program was also organized where the Indian diaspora participated. In Egypt, the historic India House along with the Cairo Tower in Cairo were lit up in the tricolour to celebrate India's 75th Independence Day. The Mayor of Toronto also wished India on Independence Day. Let's listen.
Today we celebrate the heritage and the traditions of Indo-Canadians here in Toronto, and of course the people who reside in the great country of India. We know that that impact is far-reaching, as the Indian community here in Toronto is large and it's strong. Toronto is home to people from all over the world. It's what makes our city so unique and so beautiful. And when a community here celebrates their Independence Day of their country of origin, it's an opportunity for all of us to celebrate that together. So today, on India's Independence Day, we celebrate with you.
And the Indian Embassy in South Sudan also celebrated the 75th Independence Day with the theme Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav in Juba. The Ambassador Vishnu Kumar Sharma unfurled the national flag at the embassy. Celebrations of the 75th Independence Day were witnessed at the Indian Embassy in Cambodia as well. Celebrations of India's 75th Independence Day came in from different parts of the world. Here are celebrations from the Philippines, Israel and Peru. Independence Day celebrations were witnessed in Vietnam and Indonesia, where India's installations were decked up. On the occasion of the Independence Day, Ambassador Viraj Singh hoisted the national flag at the Indian Embassy in Dushanbe in Tajikistan, and he was joined by the officers and staff of the Indian mission and members of the Indian community. Rendering of Vande Mataram by Cuban artist Laura Maria Valdivia was released by the mission to mark the curtain raiser of the Amrit Mahotsav in Cuba and accredited countries. Let's listen in. And it's fitting to conclude at this point in time. Thank you very much for being with us. Namaskar.